Happy Friday, artists. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. Welcome to the studio. My name is Allison Jensen, and I am the owner of Orange Easel School of Art here in downtown Liberty, Missouri. We are so fortunate here in Liberty that we are in the path of totality for Monday's Eclipse, and I'm pumped. Like, I've had my glasses, probably for about 2 months now, and it's been on the calendar at the studio for months. It was on there when we did the summer class planning. That's why there's no classes on Monday, because Miss Allison wants to watch the eclipse. So we are going to be making some eclipse art today. I'm going to show you how to do it. And it is perfect for, I would say, if you have elementary age kiddos on up. And I could talk through maybe what we could do to make it a little bit easier for those preschoolers as well. So older kids a little bit, maybe those second, third, fourth, fifth, and on up will have a great time making this, and I'll show you what you're going to need. So you're going to need, of course, some black paper. So this is my black construction paper. If you have like black foam core, that would work too. You don't want anything too slick. You want something with a little bit of tooth to it, because what we're going to use on top of it is going to be chalk pastels. So I've got my set of chalk pastels here. You're not going to need this many colors. You're only going to need a red, an orange, a yellow, and a white. You could probably use sidewalk chalk. So if you have sidewalk chalk, you could do this. But I love the rich colors of a chalk pastel. And then you're going to need a little bit of white paint. This is what we're going to use for our stars. And you're going to need, this is like the trick here, you're going to need another sheet of paper. Doesn't matter what color it is, but we're going to make a mask out of that. That's what's going to mask our moon, so that we can do everything else around it without getting chalk in the inside there where we wrote that really, really dark circle. So you're going to take this piece of paper, and you've got to have something that is round that is going to be the shape of this moon. So you can see mine was my roll of tape. Right? So look around your house. Find something that's round, something you can trace. That's what you want. Okay, so I'm going to use my piece of tape, and the first thing I'm going to do is make that stencil that I need. So if you have a small paper plate, you could just use the paper plate. You wouldn't have to do this step. All right, but I'm going to trace around my, whoops, I didn't do a very good job. Goodness, Miss Allison. I'm going to trace around my roll of tape here, just like that. And then I'm going to cut it out. Now, I chose this shape, not the shape, no. I chose the shape because the moon is round. But I chose the size of my moon based on the size of my paper. It couldn't be too big, right? If it was ginormous and took up most of my black sheet of paper, the composition would have been totally different, and I wouldn't have as much room to put all those pretty colors around it, right? The light that kind of, what do they call that? When the moon, you know, it's totality, but there's a name for that kind of aura that's around it. I should have looked that up before I started. Okay, so I got my circle, right? And it's the right size for my sheet of paper. If it was too big, we wouldn't have room to do what we're going to do to it. If it's too small, I mean, you could do it, but it's not quite, it doesn't have the presence. So you want a good shape for the size of paper that you're working on. Okay? All right. Now we're going to take this tape, kind of does double duty here today, and it is going to help hold down my circle. So I'm going to put a couple pieces kind of around the white circle. And if I didn't tell you before, this white circle that I have can be any color. It doesn't matter. I chose white because I thought it'd be easiest for you guys to see on camera. When I made my example, I actually used a yellow circle because it's just what I had. So, using the scrap papers, right? Okay, so I got this. I'm going to stick it down on my black sheet of paper where I want to put my eclipse happening. Stick it down real good on there. We'll take it off later. It's not going to stay on there after we're done, but that's what's going to give us this masking. Then we're going to take our pastels. Now this goes in multiple steps. So those of you who are watching, you're too patient with me because we're going to use a lot of colors here. We're going to use red, orange, yellow, and white before we're all done. And the step is the same for all of them. It just gets increasingly smaller. So I'm going to start with my red chalk pastel, and the direction of this is what's going to matter. We don't want to go just across like this. Direction matters. We want to go from the inside of the circle, like the spokes of a wheel, and we're going to work outward. Now, We don't want to go back the other direction because if I do, it lifts up that paper and then I don't get that nice crisp edge. So outward with the red, I am going about 2 to 3 inches out. My other colors won't go that far. Now, chalk pastel is messy. If you've never used it before, you're going to get it all over your fingers. If you don't have an apron on like me to wipe it off, get a paper towel or a bath towel or a hand towel or something next to you to be able to wipe your fingers off periodically. Okay? See? That's my first step. Now I'm going to smooth all that out using my fingers. So I'm going to take this finger and I'm going to brush it in that same direction. I'm turning my paper as I go, right out. Like the rays of a sun or the petals of a flower, we go from the center of that circle outward. Okay, and it doesn't have to be all smoothed out. We can still see some of my marks that I made, some of the lines that I made, and I'm okay with that. But we're just kind of softening it a little bit. And then I want to make sure that when I finish this, that I do a really good job of cleaning these fingers, which I just do on my apron. But we don't want to have smudges other places on the paper. So we look like that. So it's just a little bit softened. Not a huge drastic difference, just a little bit softer. Now we're going to build this up in layers. So the next step is to grab my orange. So grab my orange my orange chalk pastel. I'm going to do the exact same thing, only my marks are going to be just a little shorter. We're going to stop shy of where I started, or I stopped with the red one. So we go out from this one. I'm using the side of the chalk pastel because it allows me to get a little bit more surface covered. It also allows me to make a mark on the paper that isn't a line. You know, it's a broader stroke. So, okay. So just a little bit. And I'm not pushing really hard. It's just tickling the paper. So there's what the orange looks like. We're going to soften that up. I'm going to use my clean finger, right? It's not too dirty. And I go right around and I'm turning my paper as I go. Now I'm working faster than your kids are going to work. And that's just because I'm on camera and I don't want to waste your guys' precious time. So your kids, this will take a little bit longer for sure. Actually, if you do it, it'll take a little bit longer for sure. My first one took a little bit longer. Here we go, all the way around. And you can keep going if you feel like you want to keep softening it, but I feel like we're good. See my orange finger? Yeah, I don't know. I can't really focus on it, but that's okay. There it is. Okay, so we'll go ahead and wipe that off on my apron so we don't get orange smudgies everywhere. You got to watch this hand too. This is the one that's holding my paper because I don't want to, I want to smudge over here. This is my black starfield that I'm going to make in a little bit. So I want to keep that nice and clean. I grab my yellow next. I'm grabbing a cool yellow because I think that goes well with the white that's coming next. But any yellow you have is great. And I'm going to start with my yellow. My yellow is even shorter than my orange. And we go all the way around. And I'm starting on the inside of that white circle and pushing outward. So that way I also get that nice crisp edge around my circle. Don't start on the outside of your circle. Start on the inside of that yellow or that white circle and push outward. And it'll give you that crisp edge. That's what that stencil does for us. All the way around. See how much shorter that one is from the first one? My red's way out here, and then my orange, and then my yellow. So let's soften that one up. I'll use my nice clean finger. We're going to pull right out. I'm not pulling as far as I did with that red. Just a little bit, just to kind of soften it up, blend it into that orange. Not pushing real hard. Every now and then your finger gets pretty orange, so you want to wipe it off. So that way you can go back into that yellow without dragging orange into it. Keeps the colors a little bit more pure. That's why I wear an apron. Whoops, I missed and got it on my jeans. Oh well. See, artist life, man. I don't have any clean clothes. Or you can just switch fingers. Switch to a clean finger. Okay, you want to see so far? We're on the very, very last step of this one. I see Heather's watching. Hi, Heather. Every now and then, I don't know why, Facebook chooses to tell me that certain people are watching. Hi, Georgia. And I see Kathy's watching too. And then I see that there are like 8 more of you, but I have no idea your names because Facebook didn't decide to tell me. All right, we're going to take a white one. This is like the step that makes it, right? This is that bright white light that is around the moon. And so this one, you want to make sure, a couple things. You want to make sure that your white is clean. as we color around, it's going to get dirty because it's going to pick up some of the color that's down there. So every now and then you can wipe it off on a white sheet of paper, wipe it off your hand, wipe it off on a towel, wipe it off on your apron, whatever you want to do just to make sure it's clean. And this one is going to be the shortest of the marks that we make, and it's going to be the one where you want to push the hardest and you want to make sure that edge is nice and crisp. So let's see if I can pull this downward. It may not work. Darn. Sometimes, you know, the camera situation is not the greatest. But then I see things on Amazon for like $400 to set up a great camera, and I'm like, I just can't justify it. So I'm going to grab my white, and I'm going to pull from the inside of my circle straight out, nice and dark, which I can't really do because I've just got my hand here, but I want to show you my mark, and it stops into that yellow. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do down here. I'm using the point now. I'm not using the side. Okay, and so it goes straight out. You got to be really careful on this step. See how my hand rests on the table finally? Yeah, don't smudge everything you just did. Make sure you stay on the outside of all those colors. The artist trick is to use your pinky, right? You stand your pinky up on the table when you do it. Ooh, I could back up a little and then you guys could see. So we're going to go all the way around nice and bright. My white got orange on it, so I wipe it off on my apron and I keep on going. When we finish this, we'll take off this stencil that's laying here, but we won't take it off until we put a star field in the back. Okay, so we only have 2 more steps for those of you who are hanging on with me. Does anyone have plans for the eclipse? Anybody going anywhere? I thought about driving up to St. Joe for my other 20 seconds of totality, but then I decided against it. So we're just going to hang out downtown Liberty and enjoy the community, and should be a fun time. Anybody else going anywhere fun? Yeah. I heard that the winery down the street is doing something. I know downtown Liberty is doing something fun. I heard Red Barn Farms has some fun stuff going on. We have to travel this weekend north to Iowa to go to my husband's class reunion. So we're leaving the path of totality. I told him, I threatened him. I said, if I don't make it back, I'm going to be so disappointed. I-29 is going to be a standstill. I need to make it back. All right. So there's our white all the way around. So the same thing we did with the other colors. Oh, someone else is going. Jessica says she's going to Arkansas. Is that, like, how far of a drive is that for you? Do you have a long ways to go? I know some people are driving crazy distances. I'm going to use my finger here, and I'm just going to tickle the paper to soften up so it doesn't look like I just took a piece of chalk and colored in a circle. So I don't want to totally get rid of it, and every now and then I'm going to wipe off my finger so I keep that white nice and pure. I don't want to, wipe it down so much that it's no longer that bright white color, but I want to get it so that it looks like it's shining out. This is one of the few layers that I'm going to actually pull into some of that red and that orange. Hi, Margaret. Margaret says you're going to keep them home. Are you doing the ones with the paper plates, the Eclipse viewers, or are you doing the box, the pinhole camera boxes? I saw videos on those pinhole camera boxes, and the camera geek in me is like, we can do that anytime. That sounds like a great, you build one of those camera oscuras. We did that here in the studio for one of our winter break camps a couple years ago. We built a pinhole camera and used I'm from the child of the 80s. Oh, pinhole camera, good. We built them out of Pringles cans, and so we had set up a dark room and everything, and used the photo papers and taught the kids what film was. It was good. It was good. All right, here we go. So cool. Oh, good. Jessica, I'm glad you don't have to travel. That's good. All right. I heard the interstates are going to be crazy. See? So here's my eclipse so far. It's going to look even cooler when we pull that off. Before we do, though, we got to put stars in it. So here we go. We're going to take our brush. We're going to take a paint has some paint on it. This is just a washable white. If you used acrylic, it'd probably be a little bit brighter, but I don't feel like flinging acrylic today. So I've got this. This is a bristle brush. It's not one of those really soft ones. You want something that's got a little bit of muscle behind it, because when you pull it back, you want it to snap forward. That's what gives you that splatter. And I have to stand up to do this. Ready? So we're going to dip it into the paint like this. I'm going to get some of my excess off, just like a toothbrush. You ever splatter with a toothbrush? Maybe it's just me. Okay, you're going to take it and you're going to splatter it. You kind of got to get your direction going. Oop, my mic is in the way. And you're going to splatter onto this page. So we get a nice star field going on. You don't want too much paint on your brush or you'll get globs. So just kind of play with it. You may have to do a practice on a black sheet of paper that isn't what you just worked so hard on to make your eclipse, right? And you can put a ton of stars. You can just put a few. I got to wipe my fingers. That's what an apron is for. You ready to see what this looks like? Here's the almost finished product. Let's do the total finished product, right? Make sure you have clean hands before you do this because you're going to get your fingers into the area that's got, it's supposed to be pitch black. So pull it back carefully. This is where heavier duty paper would be really helpful. There we go. Cool. Ta-da. Isn't that neat? I think it's awesome. So that is my eclipse art today using chalk pastels. Now let's say you have younger kiddos and you're like, they are not going to do that. I get it. You want to see something that they can do? I'm going to do it on the back of this one. Ready? So we turn this over. We're going to use the same thing, which really is not a good idea because it's got chalk all over it. But we're going to do it anyway because you all don't want to sit here and watch me cut out another template. So onto the paper it goes. Stick it down. Same idea. Let me wipe this real quick. Wipe off some of the chalk so it's not too excessive. We're going to use finger paints. Ready? Dip your finger into white paint. Start in the middle of the circle. Pull out. Over and over and over again. This is something your young ones can do. They can paint outward from a circle. You're going to have to help them with what the motion is that you want them to do. You can't just, show them once. You got to talk about what you're trying to achieve. You can talk about petals. You can talk about spokes. You can talk about fire shooting out from the circle. But you want to give them some sort of imagery to follow. Like that one looks like a petal, and that one looks like a spike, and that one looks like a sword. Whatever you think that they are going to attract to. Because you want the right motion going out from it. And then when you pull it off, see how much simpler that one was? Look at that. That took like no time at all. You could still do the same star field if you wanted, but that is the same effect with white paint and fingers. So if you have young ones, you can do this one. If you have bigger ones, please try the chalk pastels. That's a wonderful technique of blending and layering your colors and keeping them nice and rich, which is so important when we work with pastels because they can have a tendency to get mucky and muddy and diluted because we just go over and over and over and keep mixing them up. So that's a great technique. So if you're interested in learning more about pastels, if you've got kiddos that want to learn it, actually that happens to be what we're doing in September. So check out our art classes on the website because we'll teach them more about that particular medium and how to be successful with it. So that is what I've got. If you try it out, I want to see pictures. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, for reals. Like, I would love to see yours and what it looks like. So don't be afraid to do it more than once too, to kind of, keep getting better at it. All right, guys, I got to go because I got like 1,000 errands to do. So I will chat with you later. Have a wonderful Friday. I won't be like tuning in on Monday because the studio's closed, but I hope everybody enjoys the eclipse. Bye.